found the ISCA after I'd been in the service for a long time. I'd been in iRacing for well over a decade and spent most of my time in NASCAR series, a lot of fixed racing for the most part, and really just got to a point in my iRacing career where I really wanted to get involved in open setup racing versus fixed, partially because I was just looking for a little higher level of competition, maybe a little cleaner driving and maybe get away from some of the challenges that go along with fixed racing on the service. And it took me a while as I was really searching out leagues because I kind of had a very specific thing I was looking for. A, I wanted to be an established league. B, I just really wanted clean, quality drivers to be racing around. And once I found the ISCA, I found out really quick that it was going to check all those boxes, and I've been with the ISCA ever since. I think the things I like the most about the ISCA is it's a developmental league, but it's also a league that's got some veteran drivers. And I think really what I was looking to do was try to surround myself with some people to better my talent, my skill, and my craft. And that's one thing the ISCA has really delivered. It's got great quality drivers. You learn how to race in close quarters around some of these other people. And I think the other thing, when you do look at the developmental side, once I joined the ICA, my I rating is soared, my safety rating is better than it's ever been. And it's also really great to see drivers that join our league, really excel over time, some of which stay with the league and some that maybe move on to some bigger things, which is really exciting. We have a great history of developing drivers. We have a great alumni list. But I just really enjoy, participating in the league and just continue to get better each week that goes by. Yeah, the competition in the ISCA is awesome. I think a lot of us talk about it, each week of just how blessed we are to have such a high level of driving capabilities and just a quality group of drivers overall. And I think that's just still, I think the thing I like the most about the ISCA. You build a lot of friendships, a lot of camaraderie. We're really competitive on Thursday and Saturday nights, but it's really fun also after the race to kind of review the race start to finish. And we do a lot of coaching about what's working, what's not working. Not saying we give away all of our secrets, but I think anyone that joins it, there's a common theme. They get better each week, their I rating goes up. We see them in strength of field races over time, week in, week out. And that's just something that's really fun. Even though we compete, we really appreciate the league we participate in, and I think in most cases we're highly competitive with some of the best and cleanest drivers on the service. And if you like long green flag runs, we don't have a lot of cautions in our races. We tend to have green flag pit stops, but those are just some things that I really enjoy about the league the most: is the quality of the competition, the lack of cautions, and just the long runs that really leads to some really awesome racing. Yeah, I think people that should join the ISCA are people like myself. When I go back a few years ago and I was really looking to up my game and get involved in open setup league racing, for so long I just wasn't involved in that because I just didn't, I didn't seek it out, but I really didn't also know how to get started. And once I started doing research, it was a really easy choice that the ICA was a place I really wanted to be and get involved with. And all those things I talked about earlier have happened to me, from improving I rating, improving my skill. And, I'm someone that I really enjoy the ICA. I'll probably stay there, but don't think that, if you're coming to the ICA, that it's something long-term. That in some cases you can find a long-term home like a lot of us, but we develop drivers, and ultimately we'd like to see our drivers participate for a period of time and hopefully move their way up the ranks, whether that be into Road to Pro or Contender Series, or hopefully get to the Coke Series. That's really the goal of what we want to be, as an established league with great drivers, but also a league that's going to develop drivers into bigger and better things.
Hello and welcome everyone to the ISCA Saturday Cup Series. Actually going to be the start of the Super Cup Series here on Saturday. We saw an awesome race on Thursday. I expect to see the same here tonight, as we're going to see a lot of guys tackling This track, 313 miles for the Hooters 313, 125 laps we have on the docket. Of course, my name is Brian Britt, and I'm joined in the booth by none other than Big Al. How you doing tonight, Big Al?
Hey man, doing pretty good, Brian. Excited. We've been here at Daytona all week. Looks like we're gonna be wrapping it up here tonight. Like you said, it is also the initial race of that Super Cup series. So really excited about getting that going as well, Brian.
Yeah, definitely very excited. As you see, qualifying is getting ready to start up. We just have 20 seconds here remaining in practice. While we're waiting on qualifying to start, we can go over a little bit of the race facts for tonight's race. And taking a look at those, of course, I mentioned 313 miles. Quite a long one here tonight, Big Al. Of course, it was quite long on Thursday as well. But those guys kept it very clean and green. 125 lap stages are going to be 25 and 55. Of course, the caution will come out for those stages whenever the 10th place car crosses the line for 26 and 56. And here at Daytona, that happens very, very quickly, just considering I noticed that on Thursday's race, the top 10 crossed the line literally like a split second later, the caution was out. And that's not normal for a lot of times in the ISCA when we wait for that 10th place car to get there. Of course, 5 sets of tires down in the pits, 4 actually in the pits, 5 if you include the one that's actually on the race car. 45 laps is the fuel window. Definitely going to be an exciting one here tonight. Definitely welcome back Butt Kicker as one of our sponsors, as well as also TLC. But how are you feeling about this, Big Al? You want to talk about some of the race or track facts out there? What's the temperature? It looks cloudy.
Yeah, going to be mostly cloudy right there with that ambient air temperature at 77 degrees. Track temp 89 degrees. Winds out of the east at 9 miles an hour, Brian, and that's just going to make for a lot of grip on that racetrack. Exactly is what that's going to translate to. So that means these guys should actually get some faster times. You know, the hotter the track is, the slicker it becomes. But when it's kind of cool, it's usually a little quick. So can't wait to see how that plays out in our favor.
Yeah, definitely excited to see how that definitely plays out. You see the winds also kind of whipping around, up and down here at Daytona, and the speeds these guys hit. Wouldn't you say the winds? I think they have a big factor, a big result on the actual racing itself.
Well, I think the bigger talking point to this is going to be the dirty air, because these cars have been anything but turbulent, especially since their inception. So I think that's going to be the key thing that we're going to be looking at. Also, I think we're going to be seeing if drivers are going to try to work in groups. Sometimes we see guys making more speed when groups of 3. Sometimes we saw in practice that they were kind of running tandems, they're groups of 2. So I don't know. It's going to be a lot of things that we're going to have to look at. Strategy is definitely going to come into play. But the biggest thing is everybody that's racing this race tonight should have a decent points night if they could just play their cards right.
Yeah, especially going to be very important because this is the stepping off point for the Super Cup season. So a lot of guys are going to be really trying to maximize their points in these stages to see what they can do. Of course, we do have a new driver, I do believe, out there, Austin Derbyshire. Glad to see him out there. He's actually a guy that me and you are fairly familiar with because we actually work together with him for another broadcast crew. He's the producer usually, so it's going to be kind of cool to talk about him while he's out the race in the 91.
Yeah, never heard of him.
Never heard of him, huh? All righty, well, I'm going to let Austin's going to hear this back, I'm sure. But as you can see, we're well into qualifying, just a little over 2 minutes left to go. Joey Preby's still out there, Kendall Lavron, you see Jose Acosta, Kenny Powell, Frank Flores. Glad to have him back. I know he's kind of taking a little bit of a hiatus away, but going to be starting the Super Cup season.
Not only is Frank Flores back, he's currently sitting on the pole here, Brian, with nope, spoke too soon. There goes another familiar face, though. But, yeah, everybody's going to get qualified in, and I do believe you do have to qualify, especially at a track like this, because track position is going to be, everything pretty much, Brian.
Yeah, and I've definitely heard that before. I know on Thursday it was very important. It was not that it was hard to pass, but it was hard to generate runs and hard to find your dancing partner. And you wanted to kind of be up front because if you're in the dirty air, it whips you all the way around. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the point standings coming into tonight's race. Of course, this is for the Cup Series standings. The Super Cup Series is actually starting tonight, so points, there are none. Chris Severa, though, in the regular points is at the top of the board. I mean, by a long shot, too. 85 points above Kenny Powell. He's got 4 wins, 7 top 5s. He's been picture-perfect consistency. Of course, as I mentioned, Kenny Powell in second place. Jose Acosta, he's sitting in third in points, not that far back from Kenny Powell. So could we see a change possibly in that position? Fourth place, Darren Mullins. Fifth place, Don Avery. Of course, we haven't seen hide nor hair of Don Avery lately, so he's going to probably continue to fall through this field. Josh Schaffner going to be trying to move up to take his spot. He's in 6th right now. Randy Mullins in 7th. Don't see him in the grid, if I'm not mistaken. 8th place, Joey Preby. 9th, Greg Wachinski. And 10th, Gary Adamson. And Adamson, I do believe, also not here, and definitely going to be hurting these guys to not show up for the first race of the Super Cup Series.
Yeah, but the good thing is they've got an entire season. That's a long, lengthy run there, Brian. So I think it's going to give them more than ample time to actually recover. But looks like qualifying is wrapping up. So with that, let's go ahead and take a step away, get our national anthem, and we'll be right back with our running order.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? Oh, so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad strides and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we walked were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets break upon her, singing out, yeah, through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And now, race fans, for the most famous words in motorsports.
I just got 3 things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
Drinking dope turned me to a superhero.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, You can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel comfortable, bro. We get a hug. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
You gotta get down to Hooters, have a drink, catch the game, get yourself some awesome wings. It's the place to do your thing. You gotta get down to Hooters. Here she comes, a girl next door, hanging with good friends and more. Come on, what you waiting for? You gotta get down to Hooters. So get on up and get on down to Hooters.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We have the grid set for this evening's action. Chris Johnson going to be starting on the pole with Brian Johnson. Brothers on the top two rows, or the top row. Look at that. That is awesome to see. Third place, Frank Flores. Kenny Powell going to be starting in fourth place. Fifth place going to be Joey Preby with Greg Wachinski in sixth place. Seventh place going to be Darren Mullins. Kendall Levron in eighth. Ninth place, Jose Acosta. And rounding out the top 10 is Chris Severa.
Let's put Al Keselowski in 11th, Derek Jacobs in 12th, and Austin Derbyshire starting down there in 13th, Brian.
Yeah, definitely a far cry from what we saw on Thursday for sure. But definitely these guys, even no matter what, I mean, Saturday is going to be exciting. I mean, these guys always put on a good show. And I expect this to be very clean and green. Hopefully the guys got their wrecking out of their system in the practice, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, we should be getting rolling here any time now. Chris Johnson and Brian Johnson. I think that's the biggest story, though. Of course, remember Thursday, Big Al, Chris Johnson had a blinking issue, won stage number 1, and then just disappeared for a long period of time and went multiple laps down. Hope that does not happen here tonight, considering he's on the pole.
Yeah, I think he should actually be running pretty good here. It's going to be a long race, though, Brian. Got a lot of racing left to actually come up, so just going to have to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of racing. And guys are going to be trying to work up to see if they can't get with their teams. And I think, the new faces out here, unknown, kind of factors that we're going to see. I'm looking at Austin Derbyshire. From what he told me, he actually did compete in the ISCA a couple years ago. So it just shows you how long the ISCA has been around. Should be getting rolling here anytime. Pace car taking his sweet time. I think he's got some ice cream there. Don't want to go yet. You see here some guys starting to rev their engines, getting ready to get this thing. They're sitting there with anticipation. You know these guys are excited, Big Al. I mean, to let these horses fly around this racetrack. I mean, we're going to have some almost 200-mile-an-hour speeds around this place. And these guys are aggressive sometimes. So I don't think they're going to stay side by side forever here. We'll have to wait and see, though. I mean, this is a long race. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these guys' heart rates by the end of this thing are quite high and a little bit wore out. Because that's one thing. I mean, I like these super speedways. I've been competing in a lot of races this week. But they've been like little 50-lap races. This is a 125-lap race. This is, to have to be focused for that long definitely seems like it'd be a tricky thing to undertake. But these guys are definitely up to it. That is for sure as we are rolling. Pace car lights are out. We'll be getting the call to go green once we get out of turn 3 and 4. Like I said before, this is very important to these guys to get the right step off into the Super Cup Series season. I mean, this is the first race. This could set up the rest of your season based on what you do here. If you're able to win this race, could you carry that momentum forward? and not even win this race. I think also a big thing is winning the stages. I mean, we talk about that. We say it so many times. I mean, but we say it because it's true. The stages are so important when it comes to getting points.
Yeah, and these guys are definitely going to have patience, though. That's going to be the key to get through this thing, Brian, because otherwise you're not going to get any points.
Yeah, patience is definitely going to be a virtue here, especially when you're the guys that are in the pack. You're having to lift, a lot of times half throttle, 3/4 throttle. Here we go, pace car getting ready to take that left turn down pit road.
I said just the key thing here is just to have fun.
100%. Oh, yeah, definitely. That's going to be the key here. If you're having fun doing what you're doing, you're going to find yourself up at the front. As the green flag is out, Chris Johnson side by side with brother Brian Johnson. Kenny Powell pushing Brian Johnson up on the top. Now we saw on Thursday that top line was able to get a really good launch on the initial start. Looks like Brian Johnson's not going to be able to get clear down to the bottom.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see which line's going to be preferable. We know that the high line is the most favorable line because it's the fastest, but, not everybody can run up there. So a lot of guys are going to be switching back and forth. We're going to have to see how that plays out. I know Keselowski was one of those guys that was really intent on staying on that high line on Thursday.
Yeah, you're definitely right. He was one that was all about running on the top side. And the guys that did run on that Thursday race have a big opportunity here. If maybe their setup wasn't working correctly for them, they could switch that out, maybe change some things and really learn their lessons from the Thursday race. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the guys that did compete in that event being stronger here tonight. As you see the top line starting to surge ahead, Brian Johnson and Kenny Powell are cleared down to the bottom. They got Greg Wyszynski behind them, though. I don't think they're going to want to leave him high and dry up there.
I was looking at these guys in practice, and it seemed like they were definitely having a lot of success in the tandems. But right here now, we're just looking, and that high line, though, looks like the 24 and the 4 are kind of hooked up and kind of trying to run away just a little bit as Wyszynski runs away from his dancing partner, which is the 28, Kendall LeBron.
Yeah, Kendall in a new paint scheme as well. That 28 showing a new scheme. I kind of like it. Oh, a little bit of some action here as Joey Pribby goes up the racetrack, almost gets into, I do believe, I think that was Darren Mullins above him there.
Yeah, and simultaneously, Chris Severa dove down to the inside there, and he was going to try to take the lead on that bottom line. Now Kendall LeBron does the same.
Looks like the bottom line just not able to have a whole lot of momentum. You talked about it before, the different manufacturers here, and, it's almost like pushing a marble versus a marble. We say that time and time again, and because it's true. I mean, it's so hard to push around this place. It takes so much cooperation. And you really have to have communication as well. But it looks like the bottom line is starting to surge ahead. Chris Severa with a good run of speed on the back end of Kendall LeBron.
Ooh, Kenny Powell just kind of shoved Brian Johnson just a little bit there. Probably excited him quite a bit. He'll be maybe saying, hey, Kenny, easy now.
Yeah, definitely probably will be. That's Chris Johnson. Brian Johnson up on the top. You see Al Keselowski, he goes up to the top. We saw this before on Thursday. This is where he spent the majority of his time, was on the top line.
Yeah, he definitely got a big punt there from the forward, Brian Johnson, as he came up on him. Now these guys have definitely kind of fallen off and back, Brian, simultaneously.
Yeah, it looks like Al Keselowski definitely having a little bit of troubles getting some good pushes there from Brian Johnson. As you see, even Austin Derbyshire making his way up into the top 10, almost the top 5. He's now, I do believe, finds himself in 7th place. Also, Derek Jacobs, he's sitting in 6th. Derek, this is his big shot right here. We know he struggles at a lot of the other tracks, Big Al, but this is one that he should know very, very well.
Yeah, he needs a strong finish here tonight. It'd be awesome for him to actually, collect some stage points. Now it looks like we're getting to be more one defined line still. Highline is just not giving up.
And one thing I'm surprised to see is who's at the rear of this field. Jose Acosta. Looks like he's in the kind of take it easy mode right now. Greg Wyszynski was also towards the front of the field as well. He falls back. He's in 12th right now. But Kendall LeVron right now in control. Big pushes there from Chris Severa. I love that. I mean, it is kind of hard to push in this car, but if you do get square, you're able to really, really lay into that back bumper. I mean, we've even seen some guys even be able to have 3 pushing, you know, and it's crazy to see that because, you know, golden rule of plate racing is don't push the pusher. And it does not seem like that is the case when it comes to these next gens.
Yeah, these drivers definitely can find a little bit of happiness in working together as a group. But and that seems to be the case right now. Good on Kendall LeVron. Hopefully he'll be able to change his luck along with his paint scheme there. Maybe he'll actually be able to get out front of this thing a little bit, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be. I mean, new season, it's a new opportunity, Big Al. I mean, of course, we're still got the Cup season going on at the same time, but this is kind of a new day for you know, a driver like Kendall LeVron. This is the time. If he's going to turn his luck around, it's this race right here. Looks like the top line is starting to move a little bit, though. They're starting to get up as they're side-by-side with Frank Flores, who's sitting 4th right now. Top line really starting to get very organized. All teammates kind of in a row right now. You see Al Kozlowski, of course, Brian Johnson, Kenny Powell, and Greg Wachinski. Joey Preby kind of also there, but of course not a team member. But you can't be picky at a super speedway. You can see also what I find really interesting about this next-gen car that's not like the trucks or the Xfinity is the way the air works here. You see on the bottom line right now, you see Darren Mullins. He's kind of broken up from that front 4 or 5. It seems because of the top line is kind of side drafting, pulling him back. You don't see that as much in the other cars. Seems like the air plays so much more of a role here.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And, you know, watching drivers to see when it is a good time for them to initiate the side draft. Kozlowski, though, probably staying just above that center line there. Top line getting a little bit more organized now. Joey Preby's now going to join the back of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time to just make sure you stay on the draft. Because, I mean, if you lose that, you're going to be in no man's land. Of course, because we have stages here, you will be able to get back up to the lead lap, lead pack draft. But that is something that you definitely do not want to have happen to you. If you lose that draft, you're going to be almost in a desert island of your own, and you'll be much slower. I mean, even like 4 seconds slower, which is just crazy when you see the lap time difference when someone's single car versus, in a pack. Still, Al Kozlowski determined to make that top line work, but Kendall LeVron so far has led a lot of the laps thus far. Chris Severa, of course, really good pusher. He keeps going out a little bit high. I'm wondering if maybe Severa's trying to get some air on that nose, cool the engine. That is something that we have seen be a factor as well in these next-gen cars, that if you push too hard, you could end up actually overheating the engine and could end up getting that dreaded meatball flag.
It definitely is. Just watching the pack kind of bouncing back and forth there. Jose Acosta kind of got sucked up into the back of Derek Jacobs. I think that kind of scared Austin Darbyshire off a little bit, as he definitely put a little bit more distance between himself and Jose.
I think Derbyshire's having some issues right now. He's now 3 laps down. So something definitely going wrong. Must be connectivity issues possibly, Big Al, or?
Yeah, he had a packet loss.
Definitely unfortunate to see that. So he's going to continue to go laps down. I hate that for his first race here. Was hoping he would we'd get to talk about a little bit more about him. But I'm sure hopefully we'll get to see him a lot more often in the future. Of course, next week we're going to be going to Auto Club, which that's going to be quite a crazy track as well. I mean, love those kind of 2-mile racetracks. They produce some of the best racing on the service. As Al Kozlowski gets really close to Frank Flores, door to door.
Yeah, but further back, it caused Brian Johnson to kind of get bounced around a little bit, and that definitely caused him and Kenny Powell to kind of get bounced off of Keselowski's draft. Now it's going to put that high line way back. So much so, Brian, I think they're just going to even dissolve the high line pretty much.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely just a little early to be doing the side drafting. And Al Keselowski has shown that he does not like to sit behind someone. That is for sure. But he might even have a reason for that, though. We talked about him. I do believe had a car accident, was a little bit hurt. I do believe his gas pedal foot is actually, I think, numb in a lot of regards. So it might just be a necessity that he can't really push anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And then with that dirty air, a lot of cars, aren't. Some cars don't handle very well low. Some cars don't handle very well high. Keselowski, though, he's been committed to running that high line pretty much all week.
Yeah, he definitely has been. Definitely has been very committed to running the high line, but looks like he's going to drop down to the bottom. Everybody is single file at the moment. But like I said, the key word at the moment, because it could change just like that. I mean, this is a thing of beauty, though, looking at Chris Severa. He is, like, connected to the back end of Kendall LeBron. I mean, they are almost one car. As we're verging on, I do believe, 11 laps left in the stage. I'm curious if we'll see any games playing like here when it comes to pit road, Big Al. I mean, we've seen it before where guys short pit the stage to get track position. Is that something we could see here?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you got nothing to lose when it comes to pit strategies. I mean, that's the whole purpose of it. So kind of try it out and see what you can make.
Oh, yeah, and then also the key factor is that, this being such a big track, I mean, the lap times around this place, when you're in the draft, it's about 46 seconds. When you're by yourself, it's about 50 seconds. That lap time, I think, allows you to possibly get down pit road and off of pit road without losing a lap. But it's going to be a gamble if you do that, as we see the top line starting to materialize once again. Al Keselowski, of course, being pushed by Brian Johnson. So at least there's some loyalty out here. It looks like starting to heat up a little bit as they all realize that, the laps are dwindling here for this stage. Want to try to get as many points as they can. Now's the time to start to make those moves. Let's look at that. 3 wide. Al Keselowski tries to go through the bottom, but Chris Johnson blocks him. Chris Severa, of course, now up into the lead, has decided to ditch Kendall LeBron.
I mean, that whole top line is G&G if you look at it, and I think they just kind of all decided that they were going to go high at that time. Keselowski now coming down on the inside. He is going to be trying to just get in some clean air, just trying to help his car any way he can. I don't think it was actually doing too well for him up on the top right there with the traffic being what it was. So here he is now going to be trying to lead here on the bottom.
Yeah, right, definitely. He's doing it right now, but I just feel like he's almost, we're talking about loyalty. He doesn't show a lot of loyalty, and I hate to talk about that, but, you would want to push your teammates, but he always ditches them.
This lap 17, though. It's all good.
I know. It's just something that I noticed in Thursday's race. I mean, and like I said, it could be as a result of him, sustaining the injury or something like that. But, I mean, it just seems like just the loyalty there, and that could hurt the feelings of some of the other G&G guys. And you know as well as I, Big Al, we've talked about this at times before at these super speedway tracks. If a guy feels like they've been wrong, they're not going to work with you.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, I think he's just feeling the waters, testing it out. I mean, everybody here is going to attempt to win, and you got to work with everybody. I mean, you can't just say I'm not going to work with somebody unless he's on my team. I think Keselowski is just demonstrating that. I mean, you got to be able to race with everyone, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, I get that 100%. I mean, I don't know. I just felt like he had a better chance I mean, maybe. I mean, he could win the stage, so it could be a big deal for sure, points wise. I mean, as we're closing in, I do believe 6 laps to go here in the stage next time by, as Chris Severa definitely really fast up on the top side. But yeah, Keselowski looks good on the bottom. He looks like he's going to come up in front of Severa. Let's see how Severa handles this. Some big pushes there from Chris Severa. I mean, man, you could just see the confidence in that 62 machine. He gets right to the back bumper, connects with you, and pushes you along. And a lot of people aren't comfortable doing stuff like that, Big Al. I mean, it's kind of a scary thing to connect 2 race cars when you're going that fast.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is about, though. It's all about just getting that push from the back, that tush push, I like to call it. And that's what Severa is doing. He is the king of the tush push. He's got his nose directly buried in the keister of the 88 Speedway Angels Al Keselowski car. And Keselowski's got to be feeling pretty good because now he is getting ready to turn some laps. And he did kind of do the same thing on Thursday where he kind of jumped down to the bottom line and then got back up to the top. Not really mad at him about it, though, Brian. I think he's doing what he's got to do to win the race.
No, I'm not mad at him. I think some of the other guys might be like, hey, man, you know, almost some issues there as Al Keselowski gets almost kicked out of the top line. A little bit of a bad bump there from Chris Severa. It looks like he's able to – I think they gave him a little bit of leeway there.
So you got a bad bump?
A little bit there. I mean, you saw he kind of got pushed down onto the bottom line, but Chris Severa, I think, gave him the space. And look at that. Chris Johnson dishes the top and goes down to the bottom. So we talk about loyalty, and here comes Al Keselowski right down in front of him.
Both Johnsons, both Chris and Brian came down low. Kenny Powell now going to go back up top, see if he can't suck up to Chris Severa. Severa going to give him a huge nudge. There it is.
Yeah,
now they're going to try to get that high line working again, Brian. But here, 4 laps left to end the stage. This is definitely time. This is go time.
Oh, Kenny Powell spins it.
Loose. Pedal through it, Kenny, pedal through it. And I think Powell is actually able to pedal through, but I do believe Mr. Preby is definitely not going to be faring too well for that. He is below the double yellow, though, so caution should not come out. Joey Preby, yeah, he does have a meatball flag, unfortunately for him.
Unfortunate. I think he had something bad luck like that happen in the last couple weeks as well, so he's just been definitely catching it. That was a huge hit on the inside wall.
Yeah, just glad to see that he is okay. But that right front, the left front tire of that car is definitely disconnected there. So I think we know what that means. But just an unfortunate set of circumstances. Powell definitely able to kind of pedal through. And luckily for him, well, he might be on the outside of the stage points, but looks like he will live to fight another day. And I think that's going to be more important than points right now. It's just being able to get that car repaired and being able to go back out and hopefully still be competitive. Al Keselowski, though, now out to definitely a commanding lead. We are single foul. Just waiting will be moments here, I think, before the high line does get joined up again. And whoever it is going to decide to make their run, I think we'll find out who's going to be that individual here sooner than later, Brian.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely going to be somebody that's going to be able to make a run, and we'll see maybe even some communication going on. Like, hey, let's go now as we verge on, I do believe, 2 laps to go here in the stage.
I mean, it's go time. If you're going to make a run, you got to at least get out there now, I do believe. Because otherwise you might not have the time to get enough momentum up.
Yeah, now is the time, like you said. A lot of times people wait till out of 3 and 4, but I mean you have to start to materialize that run before you get to that point for sure. And it looks like Chris Severa goes to the top. No one with him though. Jose Acosta decides to go up, but they are not close enough. That's actually Kendall LeBron. I do apologize.
Severa's actually not with the lead pack right now. He's actually behind the lead pack. Looks like he is running with Greg Wachinski and Derek Jacobs. And then Kenny Powell is going to be even further back from those guys.
Yeah, of course, Powell, after that accident with Joey Preby, did lose the draft, unfortunately. And I think a lot of the guys kind of reacting to that accident had some issues.
if the 88's going to do anything, I think he's going to probably try to jump up now and block the 28's run. It's a high line now. It's going to be run. If he's going to go, he's got to go now. He did not. So that means he is going to be stuck down on the bottom. Frank Flores is going to be the tiebreaker. Do you think he'll go to the high side, or do you think he'll stay down low?
I think he's staying down low. It does appear to be so. He's getting a good run up to the back bumper of the 4. Oh,
And the
Chris
48
Johnson decides to go to the top side. He is going to shoot out like a rocket. And I think he is going to win stage number 1 by only, I do believe, 500ths. There is the caution for stage number 1. What a great run. And isn't that crazy, Big Al? I mean, on Thursday, Chris Johnson won for stage number 1, I do believe.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And he kind of took himself out of the race after that. So hopefully he'll have better, maybe better luck this time.
Yeah, definitely hope so. Well, definitely great job to him for sure after that stage 1 win. Al Kozlowski, of course, in second place. Kendall Lavron third. Brian Johnson fourth. Jose Acosta fifth. Frank Flores 6th, Darren Mullen 7th, Greg Wachinski 8th, Derek Jacobs in 9th, Chris Severa in 10th. Those are the points-paying positions there. So those are going to be the first points that anybody gets for the Super Cup season. And with that, we'll go ahead and take a step away. We'll be right back, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to Chris Johnson.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms. From camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tough, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
Alrighty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and I do believe we're going to be talking to our Stage 1 winner, Chris Johnson. I mean, you won the stage on Thursday, and now you win it on Saturday. Hopefully you have a little bit better luck later in the race with your, connection. I know you had some issues on Thursday. How you feeling, though? I mean, it seems like the car's working really well for you, and you made a beautiful move towards the end there.
Yeah, I mean, the car is it's the same car as Thursday and feels as good as ever.
It definitely looked good out there. Now, did you have the confidence that move was going to work? Because, I mean, you shot out like a cannon when you were sitting behind Al Kozlowski and decided to drive out on the high side.
Yeah, I just I didn't want Kendall to get alongside me. So, I was trying to back up to get a run on Al on the straight, but Kendall was running us side by side. So I had to push Al, kind of push him out to the lead so I could get a run. But, yeah, it worked out perfect.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it did, for sure. Is that going to be a tool you're going to have in the box maybe for later?
We'll see. I mean, I know I got my brother out here, Brian. I know that I could trust him. So, it's just finding friends and surviving till the end. Hopefully no power outage.
Is that what happened on Thursday, a power outage?
Yes, sir. I lost all power to my computer.
Well, that's unfortunate. Hopefully it came back quickly. I mean, you had such a good run going for sure. And you got the pole here. I mean, just great job to you. I know the pace car lights are out. You're getting ready to get back going once again. Who can we give a shout out to after your second stage win of the week?
Of course, Southern Spiral Pipe, Butt Kicker, ISCA, and y'all up in the booth.
All right, we definitely appreciate it, Chris. Keep putting on a good show for us. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
That was Chris Johnson, your stage 1 winner. This is going to be a good chance to see. I'm worried about Kenny Powell. I mean, he had that contact with Joey Preby. I don't think it was a big contact. I'm wondering if his car's hurt at all, Big Al. We're getting ready to see, I do believe.
I mean, he spent 41 seconds in the box, so I think he did get the majority of his repairs done. Hopefully that was not aero, and he'll be able to actually maintain pace. But that's the key, though, man. As long as he can get up in there amongst them, I think he'll be just fine, Brian. Lights off on the pace car, got this thing doubled up, getting ready to kick it back off again here for stage 2. Hopefully Chris Johnson will be able to duplicate his efforts. Brother Brian, though, all the way in the back of the field.
100%. Pace car lights, or pace car has gone down pit road. Green flag is back out for stage number 2. Of course, this one's going to be going to lap 55, or 56, I should say. As we see still double file, Al Kozlowski up on the top. Kendall LeBron right behind Chris Johnson, getting a little bit wiggly.
They're getting racy up here right about now, and I don't know if it's just a little bit too premature for that, but we're going to have to see how it plays out. Al Kozlowski up on the high line, definitely where he is committed to try to make it work. Looks like we're about dead even, maybe one car off between the top and the bottom. Hopefully these guys will be able to make the high line work a little bit longer and better than it did the last time. Kenny Powell going to make it 3 wide there as it comes around. Derek Jacobs going to have Brian Johnson on the high side.
Yeah, interesting move there for Kenny Powell. Definitely looks like he's got a fire lit up under him. Hopefully they don't lose the draft. They are a little bit off the pace. And could Brian Johnson maybe having 3 wide again?
Chris Johnson making it 3 wide up for the lead there. Al Kozlowski took it through the middle, tread the needle. Now he is going to be the leader right there. Still kind of got the field discombobulated, Brian. Got to figure out how this is going to shake itself out. Kozlowski waiting on that high line to get behind him, get organized, and it does just that. Now he is going to have Darren Mullins is going to be shoving him on the high side, but he's not real square. This could get squirrely, Brian.
Yeah, very much could for sure. And you have to push squarely. Looks like the bottom line is starting to surge ahead with Jose Acosta right behind Kendall LeBron. Of course, Jose definitely needs to get a little bit closer to the back bumper of Kendall. You see the top line definitely going to be starting to surge once ahead. One thing you don't want to see with these next gens at Super Speedway, you don't want to push the guy too far out. Otherwise, he's going to be a sitting duck when those other guys get a run. As you see, Al Kozlowski now is going to be, as the leader, he tries to come down in front of Kendall. Not able to do so. And Darren Mullins takes him 3 wide on the top. Oh, Al Kozlowski getting really low next to door.
Plenty of room there to make that happen. Here comes Chris Rivera. He's going to shove Kozlowski back up to where he needs to go. Speaking of shoving, Jose Acosta does the same thing to the 28. Oh, Kendall LeBron getting almost jiggy with it with the Greg Wachinski there. That could have turned out to be bad. But yeah, Darren Mullins, the new leader. Sorry, Brian.
Oh, that's fine. Darren Mullins definitely up here in the lead. I'm sure Randy Mullins, his family, all proud to see that 64 up in the front here. Definitely going to be trying to... Oh, more blinking issues here for Chris Johnson. He said his power went out on Thursday. I pray that it don't go out here tonight as Greg Wachinski leads the top line. Al Kozlowski right there behind him. See how this goes. Is Al going to be able to push Greg up there? And it looks like he is. Good pushes from Al Kozlowski.
They're making sandwiches there. Wow. Frank Flores is actually below the double yellow just for a second. Greg Wachinski going to go down, almost making contact with our leader, Darren Mullins. Now Wachinski's going to be scored as your new race leader. He's going to be in the lead for the first time. You're going to be feeling pretty good about that. Kozlowski and Wachinski hooked up in a tandem. Gonna see which way these guys go. Keselowski gonna go low. Here comes Chris Rivera. He's gonna get up to the back of his G&G teammate Greg Wyszynski, and he is gonna shove the five. The five now coming right down on the backstretch. These two side by side. Wow, they're racing like it's the end of the race here, Brian. But we're just really in the middle of the second stage.
Yeah, they are racing like it's the end of the race. Brian Johnson also was all the way in the back, is now driven up to third, and he drops down in front of Al Keselowski. So the top line is starting to kind of disintegrate. I think Greg Wyszynski and Chris Rivera might lose their momentum if Kenny Powell doesn't get up there to kind of pay a little bit of reinforcements. But I don't know. I mean, we've seen the two-car tandem work out, and it looks like they're able to hold that momentum, and Powell does get up to the back bumper of Rivera now.
I'm nervous.
Oh, I'm nervous too. I mean, I'm seeing these guys push each other so hard, and it makes me think that, one bad bump is all it takes, Big Al.
Well, if we have the big one here, it'll be the last one. You know what I mean? I mean, these guys are literally going to have to probably ride their golf carts around and finish this thing. Chris Rivera now going to go down on the bottom. He is going to take up spot at the lead of the inside line. Going to be trying to make this thing get going again. Brian Johnson's going to be doing a little bit of shoving on him. Here comes Kenny Powell.
Oh, Greg Wyszynski gets loose.
Ooh, well, Greg's in the middle. The middle.
Yeah, a little bit of a bad bump. Almost went badly for sure as Greg Wyszynski got really loose. Almost came down into the bottom line. Oh, contact with Kenny Powell and Greg Wyszynski.
That's just ugly right there. And I don't think he meant to do that, but Powell just not actually able to get it.
Looks like Preby is making his way back onto the track. Glad to see him. Going to be making it back up. I think he sees that the possibility that if some wrecks happen and some guys get destroyed, he might be able to get some positions. I'm worried about Kenny Powell, though, because, I mean, you saw that hit on the wall. I have a feeling that actually probably hurt Kenny Powell's car more than we know.
Well, he doesn't have any kind of flags or any damage that's being shown. I think he's going to be a little gun shy, man. He's been smacked around more than my ex-girlfriend. Definitely probably is not appreciating that at all here tonight. Wait a minute. She smacked me around. What am I talking about?
I was wondering what you're talking about because that means you were smacking her around.
No. I'm not an abuser.
You were abusing.
Yeah. Here comes Al Keselowski, though, on the high line. And he has got Chris Johnson is going to be shoving him now. I mean, for whatever reason, we have fallen apart again. If you remember that last stage, we kind of had the same thing kind of happen. It just kind of makes you wonder if we're going to be able to hold it together in that third stage, Brian, especially for the green flag pit stops. But right now, Chris Rivera out and clear in away. But, it's just kind of one of these odd things here. We're just got to see how this is going to play out.
100%. And Darren Mullins, those guys are a little over a second back. And, they're single file. They might have a chance to maybe get up here and tussle with these guys once again. Because you see this front line, this front pack is definitely racing one another here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys have been racing since the green flag flew. Which is what we is what I was even saying. It was kind of eerie because, man, you only get one car here, and there's a lot of racing left.
100%. Yeah, you only get one car. There are no fast pairs here in the ISCA, but it looks like the front pack has single filed out. But I am noticing, Darren Mullins, he's able to maintain the gap between that front pack. As you see, he's got Derek Jacobs right behind him, and what a great job Derek Jacobs has been doing pushing here tonight. He's definitely looked quick in that 27, probably the fastest he's looked in quite a while. Looks like we do have some racing up front.
Ryan Johnson definitely going to get back out there. They're going to go, they're making it 3 wide right here? I'm not sure what's going on there, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely not sure either because you saw Kendall LeVron go to the bottom underneath Chris Rivera. 3 wide is not the thing to be doing right now. We still have over 15 laps to go here in this stage.
Yeah, that was an interesting move, but here comes the crew right behind him. I was watching these guys, and, man, their lap times were smoking fast. They were just reeling these guys in, almost 0.2 of a second fast, or at least 0.2 of a second faster. 0.3 in most cases there to the other guys. And just like that, they've reeled them up. So we are one big happy family again.
Yeah, surprising to see that they were able to catch up so quick, but I think it's because they went 3 wide.
Man, that was a nice shove there from Chris Rivera to the back of Brian Johnson.
It looks like Al Kozlowski is going to go back to the point here. Virgin on 15 laps to go. You see Darren Mullins, who was in that second pack, has now caught up, and he's on the top side by side with Frank Flores, battling for, I do believe, the 7th place position. But I think they might have a potential to split up again here with the way these guys are racing.
I think Brian Johnson had much of a choice. It's like Chris Rivera's got a blade on the front of his car because he's just shoving him up there like a bulldozer. Holy cow. Just like that, Brian Johnson, you know, ready or not, without even wanting it, he is your new leader. I think Rivera just said, come on, son, I'm gonna make you famous.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's definitely been pushing a lot on the back end of that 4 machine and kind of worrisome. I mean, also worrisome on the bottom line. I mean, these guys are not lining up, I think, as good as they need to. Al Kozlowski thinking about going to the top. I do believe he's not going to be able to do so. He had a moment there where he could.
But they're not wanting to line up. I think these guys all have their own individual agendas, Brian. I think that's what we're looking at.
They definitely do. I don't think anybody's on the same page right now at all. They're not even in the same book.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys are just kind of doing their own thing and just waiting on an opportunity and just kind of riding in traffic. But I definitely don't think that, you know, we're not one big happy family. We're all together, but we're dysfunctional.
Yeah, for sure. 100% dysfunctional family right here. As Brian Johnson, of course, has captured the lead. What a story that would be to see him win stage number 2, his brother winning stage number 1. Of course, I do believe Johnson did do very well, if I'm not mistaken, on Thursday. I think Brian Johnson didn't. He won the race on Thursday.
Now he's getting shoved by Chris Rivera.
But what if he goes back-to-back here, winning both of the first races in the Super Cup Series for Thursday and Saturday? Of course, a long, long way to go until we can start making claims like that, though. As Jaron Mullins moves to the bottom, Derek Jacobs goes right along there with him. Kenny Powell up on the top. Al Kozlowski getting a little bit tight.
Well, yeah, he just got shoved. It was almost a 3-wide situation as he ran right up onto the back of Derek Jacobs. You know, and I mean, we're going to call him No Lift Kozlowski because that's exactly what that's what he's running here tonight. He's not trying to lift. He always kind of dots either high or low, but I don't think he's trying to get off the throttle, no.
We've had a lot of different leaders here tonight, and I think we might have another one here because Jose Acosta looking really fast on the bottom, but Darren Mullins leaving a little bit of space in between. He's going to be able to get a huge draft up to the back of Jose. But it looks like the top line has started moving. Top 4 are clear to the bottom, and that is Brian Johnson, Chris Rivera, Kenny Powell, and Greg Wyszynski. So any thought I had about that accident with Kenny Powell hitting the wall with Greg Wyszynski, I think Kenny Powell's car is fine. As Al Kozlowski drops down to the bottom in front of Jose Acosta. You all right? Consume tight.
Yeah, sorry, man. Excuse me, America.
But still Brian Johnson in the lead. These guys kind of all running on the top. And we've known that be the faster line. And a lot of times in real life when you watch these NASCAR races at Daytona, a lot of the times these guys progress to the top, and that's what they run. I do believe we got a lap car going to be coming up into the frame here shortly. I think that is Joey Preby.
That is absolutely Joey Preby, and now it's time for him to make a decision. And that's going to be how much of a factor is he's going to be in this race. Now, he has 2 choices. He can either stay his line or he can go low. Now, if he does stay in the racing line, it's going to make it really interesting because these guys have been all over the place. We've been 3 wide multiple times here tonight, Brian, like you were just commenting on how many different leaders we've had.
Yeah, I don't think we're done with a 3 wide here. I think we're getting ready to go 3 wide right now.
Yeah, Kozlowski trying to get that bottom line organized, but look at the top line go. These guys are running fast and wide. Wow. Preby definitely out of the way, up high on the line. Sorry about his luck earlier when he got in contact with the 24, Kenny Powell. Powell's actually able to shake it off. Preby, though, definitely had to go behind the wall. I believe he had a left toe link broken.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him back out here, though, for sure. And he did the right thing. And it was bad luck, that incident there. I mean, he had no clue that was even going to happen. I mean, Kenny Powell, I think, had a bad bump and was pushed down the racetrack. And that is when the contact happened. Of course, Joey Preby smashes into the inside wall. But, yeah, Derek Jacobs doing a fantastic job right now. He's sitting in 6th place.
Yeah,
the top line moving. Jose Acosta moves to the bottom, along with Kendall LeVron.
Yeah, unfortunately, Preby not actually able to maintain that lead draft. But here comes Jose Acosta. He is going to be wanting to get pushed to the front, but the whole world collapsed around him. Now that front line is the high line has become the low line. Darren Mullins now, him and Derek Jacobs have the high line. Kenny Powell is actually in the head of that. Powell waiting to get a shove now. Right now, he was in 3rd place. Now he needs Darren Mullins to get him back up there. He has potential to be all the way up to the lead, but without them actually getting that thing in gear, I don't think that's going to happen, Brian. Going to have somebody from the top 3 cars to jump up there and lead that high line to back up to the front. Looks like Keselowski's chomping at the bit to do it. I think he's going to jump out there and do just that. I almost made contact with Kendall LeVron.
That was a crazy move right there from the 88. I'm surprised he made it through. There was hardly any room. I mean, I tell you, he's got to be a hell of a parallel parker. I mean, golly.
He ain't going to lift. That chrome ain't played it, man.
And Kenny Powell decides he's going to move down to the bottom as Al Kozlowski leads the top line.
Just like that, though, the top line's pretty much disintegrated again. It's been dissolved. Brian Johnson doing everything right now. He is leading this case. You got Chris Severa pushing him. Severa's been pushing him for the majority of the second stage. Those two working together in tandem just makes you wonder if Severa's going to stay in place all the way through the end of the stage, or do you think he's probably going to possibly make a run for it and put a W under his column here for the Super Cup?
Oh, problems from Frank Flores. He spins, almost loses it completely, and I do believe he is going to remain on the racetrack. No contact there, but definitely a loose car underneath him. He is going to lose the draft. Luckily for him, it's almost the end of the stage. I don't think he's going to go a lap down here. He just needs to keep his head down, keep chugging along for the next 5 laps.
You know what? I'd even short pit the stage. You know what I'm saying? You're already down. You're not gonna lose anything. Worst case scenario, you'll get the wave around. So that's what I would do. Kind of turn those lemons into some lemonade, right?
100%. We did see the top line or top pack has split off once again from I do believe sixth. I do believe the top 6 right now are split up from the other pack, and this might be a problem for Darren Mullins. We saw he was able to get back up there last time, but he was not this far back. He's over 2 seconds now back from this pack, so it's going to be quite a difficult undertaking for sure as we come to 4 to go here in the stage. Brian Johnson right now is your leader. We'll have to wait to see.
I think we're just going to have to see just how racy these guys are going to be coming to 5 to go at the line before this stage is actually in the books.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the last of some moves being made. As you mentioned before, I think Chris Vera definitely is going to be one that's probably going to try to emulate what Chris Johnson did. As here comes Kenny Powell to the top. Kendall LeVron's going to go with him.
Ooh, now these guys are making moves early on. Like you said, usually you see it in turns 3 and 4 on that last lap, but Kenny Powell is saying, hey, I don't like the air that I'm getting. The 48 is down and out on the racetrack. Got to see what is happening there. He is now on the hook.
Taking a look here at the 48. Something definitely very bad happened. Turned by Al Kozlowski, I do believe a bad bump. Almost hits Al Kozlowski after the fact, and I do believe that is going to probably be a broken toe link for that 48. And I think he's going to end up taking a toe possibly. Yeah, I think he's got a broke toe link here.
He did take a toe, and he does have a broken toe link. So probably not going to be the guy you want to talk to right now.
Yeah, definitely not. I'm sure that And while we were looking at that, Chris Severa made his move. He's now up in the lead. Of course, he was pushing Brian Johnson, but it looks like he was able to make a move while all the drama was going on.
Yeah, and Chris kind of said it. Chris Johnson kind of said it. Brian and Chris Johnson can trust each other, but they're not going to be able to trust Severa. So I think it's better that Severa go ahead and makes that move earlier on, and that way you actually can recover from it and actually even see how to counter it. Even here comes Greg Wyszynski diving down to the inside. Wow, look at that! What a change of events here coming up on the last lap.
Yep, next time by, white flag for the stage will be waving. Greg Wyszynski being pushed by Kenny Powell and Jose Acosta door to door here for the lead.
This got interesting real quick, didn't it?
Oh, it very much did. These guys are definitely going to be fighting tooth and nail to get this stage W. Looks like Chris Severa, top line, starting to move ahead. Kendall LeBron doing an excellent job pushing that 62. Ryan Johnson just along for the ride. I think he's like, hey, these guys are fast. I'm going to stay in their draft.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I'd be doing. I'd be trying to save a little bit of gas, because that's gonna be the key. Because if you don't have to put as much fuel in the car, you get off pit road a little bit faster. And that's gonna, you know what I mean, and that's gonna be an advantage.
White flag is out for the stage.
Greg Wyszynski down to the inside. Look at how those guys just rocketed it by the 62 of Severa. Wyszynski,
problems.
Kenny Powell pushing his G&G teammate to the brink of disaster. Now 3 wide. Gonna have to pedal through it once again.
That was a very scary scenario. I think Kenny Powell's no stranger to that wall here tonight. That's for sure. They're long lost lovers.
Yeah, right. You can make a country song about that. He's no stranger to the wall.
That's a Big Al original right there.
Well, Kendall LeBron coming by, putting it in on Severa at the line there.
Not quite over yet. We got to wait for the 10th place car to cross the line. That is Frank Flores.
That's just going to be so unfortunate, though, because, wow, yeah, that's just definitely going to be unfortunate, because how do you call the winner of that? It should have been Severa, but it doesn't fall that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, Kendall LeBron is going to be stage number 2's winner, just because of the fact that the 10th place machine was far back. He was about 24 seconds back from this lead pack, so it took a little bit of time for him to get across the start-finish line. But great job to Kendall LeBron. I mean, what a move. I mean, Kendall and Chris Severa were connected there for a moment. Of course, Chris Severa finishes in second, Jose Acosta in third. Kenny Powell, with a little bit of a hurt race car, finishes fourth. Greg Wyszynski fifth. Brian Johnson, 6th, 7th place Darren Mullins, 8th Derek Jacobs, 9th Al Kozlowski, and 10th Frank Flores. And with that, we'll go ahead and take another step away, and we'll be right back with whoever Big Al decides he wants to talk to.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so talking, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
You gotta get down to Hooters, have a drink, catch the game, get yourself some awesome wings. It's the place to do your thing. You gotta get down to Hooters. Here she comes, a girl next door, hanging with good friends and more. Come on, what you waiting for? You gotta get down to Hooters. So get and get on down to Hooters.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of some movers and shakers on pit road. Jose Acosta able to win the race on pit road, I do believe, with a pit call, maybe to not take tires. Of course, we're going to be joined in the booth by Kendall LeVron. Big Al is standing by.
Kendall LeVron, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
10-4, bud. I got you.
Congratulations to your Stage 2 victory.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, that got a little bit tricky there at the end. We know you had to actually race it all the way to get it. So how you feeling here going into Stage 3? You feeling like you're going to have the speed to actually be where you need to be at the end of this thing to possibly get at least on the podium or maybe even victory lane?
Yeah, it's just to keep my head cool. Whenever I feel like it's getting kind of rowdy, I'm going to move myself away to the back of the pack, try to let everybody sort themselves out, then I'll move my way back to the front, kind of like what I did in the second stage. If you notice that I went to the back a little bit, then when it was time to go, it was time to go. But honestly, the car feels great. I just was overheating and trying to get air to the car because my water temp was getting way too high, and I didn't want to blow the motor by pushing Severa. So I was just hoping that it doesn't happen in the third stage, but I think we're all going to keep our heads cool because we still got 67 laps to go, about 66 going to green this time by, so ready to get back to it and hoping everything goes good. No caution.
I'll tell you what, congratulations again, man. Before I let you go, who you giving a shout-out to for your Stage 2 victory?
Big shout-out to Team Watson Racing, Kenny Coppola. He built an amazing freaking setup. Oh, my God, it is pretty fast. And all of my friends and family that are watching, too. Big shout-out to them.
All right, bud, get back at it, and here, hopefully we'll talk to you at the end of this thing.
10-4, bud. I'm going to try to get there.
Alrighty, that was Kendall LeVron, our Stage 2 winner. Now Jose Acosta going to be leading us to green. Pace car lights are out. And this is when the real race starts. This is when we have that opportunity to see possibly green flag pit stops. Of course, the fuel window is 45 laps. I'm assuming a lot of these guys on Thursday, I think, went longer, Big Al, kind of ran the tanks out.
Yeah, and the big thing was, too, man, it was when we had green flag pit stops, there was a little bit of a melee that ensued. So that's something else we'll be watching here tonight as we start to get ready to come into this thing as it comes into its own. Lights off on the pace car. He'll be getting the heck up out the way here. We'll be getting ready to take this thing green here real soon, Brian.
Yeah, that we will be. Green flag is going to be out right now in the hands of Jose Acosta. Greg Wachinski not really on the back bumper of Jose, so I think the top line is going to get a heck of a run because you see Kendall and Chris Rivera very close to one another. We'll have to wait and see how this kind of works out. Looks like Kendall, it does surge ahead, but he has a gap now between Chris Rivera and him, and that is going to allow the 42 to kind of rocket ahead. Here comes Chris Rivera to the back bumper of the 28. He gives him some good pushes. Also, you see Al Kozlowski all over the back bumper of the 5 machine. Now, I don't think he's gonna be there long. Because considering usually Al, he's gonna probably take him 3 wide anytime he can.
Well, he definitely pushed on the 5 just a little bit too much, and so when he checked up, well, thus so the 3 cars behind him did as well. So now that caused a little bit of a stick there, but now here comes 6'2", and he is shoving the 28. He is designated the 28 as the new leader. There he is making him the new leader. Severa giving him that bulldozer shove that he gives. Interesting to note, though, that Kendall LeVron said that he was worried about temperature.
I was just getting ready to say that, Big O. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, he said exactly that. I mean, when he was pushing Severa, he was getting hot. Now, that's something he's worried about. But it looks like Severa drops down to the bottom. And Derek Jacobs is going to be able to take advantage of it. But until Kendall actually dropped. Oh, wow. Ooh. That was close. Oh, my goodness.
How do you like your prosciutto? Because that was shaved right there, Bubba.
Oh, 100%. I think there might even have been a tiny bit of contact there.
Yeah, that was, especially up front. That's the kind of thing that makes everybody's heartbeats just drop.
Yeah, razor thin as Derek Jacobs makes a move. I respect the confidence there from Jacobs. You know, He's making moves.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that was a close one.
Yeah, but it's okay to have confidence, but you just don't want to have it at the expense of other drivers. And that could have been very bad.
Well, very much could, but look at Jacobs, though, giving some great pushes to the back of the 28. And look at Frank Flores up here in the top 3 right now, leading the top side. He's got Brian Johnson right there behind him in tow. Looks like the bottom line, though, is starting to surge ahead. Hopefully these guys can all stay together. Now, one thing we did see, like you mentioned on Thursday, about the melee that happened on pit road, could we see something similar like that? We saw it kind of split the pack up into multiple groups. It's definitely possible. I mean, pitting here, it's more important than I think racing out here is. I think that, we talk about it all the time. I mean, it is so important that you nail that pit stop. If you don't, all the work you've done on the racetrack is literally gone.
Yeah, and and to my point on Thursday that I said, you could run 4 or 5 A opens, but very rarely the opportunity you're going to get to actually have green flag pit stops. I mean, they are unicorns out here, so you got to kind of practice it as we're halfway through this thing. 62 laps to go, and people are going to have to make decisions, and we are going to be waiting to see. They're probably, we've got a long way to go before we're talking about green flag pit stops, but. It's just those still going to be decisions that have to be made, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised while things are a little bit calm. Guys are already probably formulating and thinking about what they're going to do. They're putting the, their black box, calm. It's relatively calm to what we saw earlier, but you know what I mean. They're already putting in the adjustments. In the black box, deciding how many sets of tires am I taking? Am I taking left sides? Am I taking right sides? Am I taking just enough fuel to make it to the end? Those kind of calls are being thought about right now and decided on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty good side draft, from Frank Flores right there.
Frank Flores leading that high line. He has got Brian Johnson behind him, who's got Al Koslowski behind him. Koslowski is definitely a lot more prone to the side draft here. So if you watch the angle that he takes, he gets a lot closer to those guys that are down on the bottom. Now, another thing that's happening out there, Brian, is it's a lot of dirty air that's affecting these cars, and we've been seeing that. There's a lot of movement that's going on between the ranks there, and you can really see it. Plus, when guys are getting a run, that accordion effect, that is real as well. So drivers aren't taking any time off, that's for sure. Having to be very cognizant of everything that's going on, because just like that, man, the entire landscape changes in front of your face.
Yeah, and these racetracks here, the entire landscape changes in a moment's notice. I mean, it's something that is almost exclusive to plate racing. When you're out here on these super speedways, 2.5, 2.66 like Talladega and Daytona, like you said, I mean, it's like a wave. It's almost like the ocean, the waves crashing on the ocean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So fluid.
And to the point that Kendall LeBron made as well, there's no tape adjustments on these cars. So when that heat gets in there, I mean, everybody is building the heat up. It's only one way to really get rid of it, and that's kind of get that car in a position where it can breathe. And here comes Frank Flores trying to get his name in the books as a leader. Whoa, comes down a little bit, almost made contact with the 28. That probably made everybody a little bit nervous. But Brian Johnson going to be shoving him. And Frank Flores, just like that, he is going to drop down to the bottom line. Now, if he wanted to lead a lap, I don't know if that was the move to make. But here he comes, Greg Watinsky trying to pull up to the back of Koslowski. Frank Flores, though, in a position right now where he definitely could get his name in the books as a leader.
I think he will. He's going to lead a lap here. Great job to him. He's going to be, we've had a lot of unique winners tonight. Definitely, I think everybody has gotten at least maybe one in the book.
Yeah, man, it was like everybody's getting a turn to lead a lap here tonight.
100%. Of course, Brian Johnson leading that top line. You see a little bit of a 3-car breakaway starting to form here between Frank Flores, Kendall LeBron, and Derek Jacobs. Both of these drivers, Frank Flores and Derek Jacobs, they're rarely up here in the front, so they brought their A game here tonight. That is for sure. And you see the paint scheme for Frank Flores, the Tasmanian Devil. I'll tell you what, I don't know if I'd want to have a Tasmanian Devil here at Daytona.
Yeah. Well, Kendall told me that he was going to kind of go to the back. I think he's running in second right now. Not sure what's going on with that.
Well, when you think about it, though, Big Al, I mean, these guys say those things. Doesn't mean they're actually going to do them, especially when you're at Daytona. I mean, when you're in that mode of racing at Daytona, you can't help but go to the front if you got a fast car.
Yeah, he said he was just going to see just how racy it was, I guess. So maybe he feels comfortable with the raciness of it that he'll just actually be out front. Darren Mullins jumps out to the high side. He has now got a 4-car pack, him being the leader. Got the 24 Powell, Kozlowski, and Wachinski. Going to see if these guys can get a run up here, maybe go to the front and stir the melee up just a little bit.
And, of course, you see Joey Preby. He's 14 laps down. He's still in this draft for this pack. And glad to see him. I said it before, glad to see him back out here. Of course, Chris Johnson with his problems that he had. This is why Joey, got back out on the track, because there's points to be had here. If someone else has an issue and it's destroyed, he could take that position and get a top 10.
Man, Flores way off the pace there down below the double yellow. Definitely going to have to figure out. Kozlowski dives down low. Derek Jacobs is going to be trying to do everything he can in his power to lead a lap. I'm telling. And he starts blinking. That's just not what you want to do. Will Derek Jacobs do it? Is Jacobs going to do it? I think he will be probably the 8th different leader we had here tonight. This has been insane, Brian.
100%. So happy to see Derek Jacobs able to get a lap led here in the first race of the Super Cup season. He's going to be trying to do more than that, though. I mean, I think this guy's going to want to try to stay up here. But we've seen it's almost like a revolving door out here. I mean, one line gets a run, and then the other one gets a run. I mean, it's just back and forth, back and forth. You love to see it.
Definitely. A lot of fast cars out here tonight, and definitely guys they're handling their business. We've had no cautions. I mean, we had a couple cars kind of mix it up a little bit. But for the most part, man, it's been clean racing. And now Derek Jacobs handling his business, not going to lead just one lap. Looks like he's going to get 2. Bottom line now starting to kind of assault their charges. If you look at this thing back from a perspective, it looks like a lot of cars are starting to get that tandem thing going. I think cars are faster in the tandem. The 64 and the 27 trying to get together.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of guys are starting to kind of find their dancing partner as we're I do believe over halfway now in the race. So, I mean, these guys have had a lot of time to deal with each other, a lot of laps to turn, and you mentioned it, no cautions. But I tell you, we might have had an accident earlier that could have probably brought one out. I'm surprised that Joey Preby's as fast as he is right now. After that hit we saw on that inside wall, that was a monster hit. His race should have been done. But glad to see him back out here for sure as Derek Jacobs is going to lead yet another lap.
Jacobs definitely feeling pretty good tonight, and as long as he continues to lead laps, it's only going to build his confidence, Brian, and that's going to transfer. That's going to go from not just leading laps, but that's going to multiply into winning a race even here eventually, because it does something to you when you're the point man, when you're out front, especially for multiple laps, especially in the ISCA.
Yeah, that's going to do a lot for him confidence-wise, even going into future races here in the ISCA for sure. I mean, seen Derek Jacobs have some bad luck a lot of times, and hopefully that does not befall him here as we're verging on, I do believe, 52 laps to go. Green flag pit stop starting to get on the minds, that's for sure.
I'm going to say the last time he was probably in a situation like this, he was on the verge of going a lap down, but here he is. He's leading this thing with cars behind him, so he's definitely got to be grinning from ear to ear, and we salute you, Mr. Derek Jacobs.
100%. Definitely. He's a hard worker. I'll tell you that right now, Big Al. He spends so much time in practice sessions trying to work on this car and also work on himself as a driver. He doesn't it's not a lack of work, that's for sure, and I think a lot of it's starting to pay off for him, and we see the bottom line starting to surge ahead here. Al Kozlowski, of course, leading that with Frank Flores right behind him. A little bit of a loose condition there for Al Kozlowski off that last corner. I think it's when you're on that bottom line like that and you got the top line up at the top, the dirty air off that top line starts to kick down onto these drivers on the bottom, and it does cause some handling conditions, and I think Al's starting to struggle with that a little bit, but he's able to hold the momentum. Now side by side with Kenny Powell. Powell getting a good run. He's got Wachinski behind him. Verging on now 50 laps to go. We are still not in our fuel window.
No. It's going to be a minute before I think we start to see green flag pit stops. And, these guys are doing exactly what they need to do. Just keep running. Keep ticking laps off. That's all you can do. Just keep putting them in the books. Keep clean. Keep the car cool. Keep the driver cool. We don't want to get out here and risk tearing up our car or anybody else's. It's just this is that time in the race where you just want to kind of just chill out.
100%. Yeah, this is definitely chill out time. I mean, this is, don't race each other too hard. You want to make it to the end. You don't want your whole journey to be ending now with a bad move. So why not just take it easy? Calm down a little bit. Recenter yourself. There's definitely some tandem drafting that's going on right now. You see Derek Jacobs and Darren Mullins working together. You see Kenny Powell and Greg Wachinski. Also Al Kozlowski and Frank Flores definitely tandeming up. So a little bit of some two-car groups here. Of course, not that far away from each other, but you could definitely tell that this car lends itself to tandem drafting a lot like what we saw in the car tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Keselowski now going to go high. That's just going to leave but a handful of cars down on the low line. So what we're seeing is that the preferred line, I think, of the drivers out here is the high line. Just but a handful of drivers running down low. And you do find the guys that run low have a hard time running high.
Yeah, and that speaks to the difference in these guys' setups that they have. I mean, everybody's unloading with a different car. I mean, even some of the guys that are on the same teams are running different, setups on the machines because, it's what they're comfortable with. Some guys are going to get looser off the corner. I know a lot of guys have struggled with that, with certain setups and things like that. So a lot of guys probably wanting a stable car, but if you're loose, you're fast. So, it just depends on what you can handle. And when the car gets loose here at a super speedway or in the next gen in general, it's one thing the next gen's kind of known for. It's so hard to save it, but I think a lot of these guys have gotten accustomed to that. We've seen some tremendous saves even here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. We have seen a couple guys having to pedal through it.
As the bottom line has started to surge ahead. So you talk about, the bottom line looks like it has disintegrated. Well, once again, they have gotten themselves collected, and Al Kozlowski, of course, going to be trying to drive his way up there.
Yeah, I think these guys are actually bobbing and weaving like that, just trying to keep their cars cool, Brian, because, you have to take it and put it in a different position and get in some different air in order to cool it. And that's what a lot of drivers are having to contend with here this evening.
100%. I mean, we already heard that from Kendall LeBron a little bit earlier about how he was dealing with some heating issues. I wouldn't be surprised if other people are. And that even speaks again to the whole different setup for everybody. I mean, could Kendall have a different gear package in that machine that allows him to go faster, but not for as long of a time, when you're pushing? So, I mean, there's even guys that set up the car to be a leader or a pusher. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But Derek Jacobs has led a lot of laps.
Indeed, he has, and he's got to be feeling pretty good. Like I said, that's only going to just help with his confidence.
Taking a look at it, he has now led 10 laps, and if he continues, he's going to be on lap 11 this time by. Started in 12th place, so I do believe he might be the biggest mover here tonight.
There's one Toyota Camry that's still running, and that's the 24 Kenny Powell. He is being scored in 4th place. There's one Mustang that is running, and that's the 16 of Joey Preby, who's being scored in 11th place, some 14 laps down. Every other car that's in this race is a Camaro.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting point. It seems like the Camaros, they're definitely very quick. Oh, some jostling going on down there on the bottom line as Al Kozlowski drops down below the yellow line a little bit here. You could do that in the straightaways, but you cannot touch that yellow line in these corners.
Oh no, not at Daytona. Yeah, you could go for a ride.
Man, it ain't gonna be a fun ride either. It's gonna be a one-time. You ain't gonna be able to do it again. I do believe we have entered the fuel window now. Of course, I think guys are going to go a lot further than this. I'm thinking possibly about lap 95 to 100 is when guys will start to think about pitting or actually have those plans and actually execute them.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to, the way I would view it, when there's 25 to go. That's when I think they'll be coming in.
Yeah, I think we're both kind of like minds there. Derek Jacobs, though, painted up on the top side. You see Greg Wachinski getting some good runs with Al Kozlowski right there behind him. And we saw earlier in this race, Al didn't seem like he was willing to push anybody, but he's gotten a little bit better at that part of it for sure. I mean, he stayed right there with Wachinski, and I think that, they're going to work together. They're finding some success working together there. So I think that Al Kozlowski might have found his dance partner there.
Yeah, I don't know.
It might be a tentative dance partnership.
If Kozlowski were a spiritual figure, he'd be a snake with two heads.
Oh, Lord. Elaborate, please.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, I don't know. Don't pet a snake, dude. I don't think he's the guy that you want to, yeah, he's not going to be your guy. That's all I'm saying. Kozlowski's going to go for the win. He's not going to go for...
He's not going to push you to the win, yeah.
Heck no. No. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just know where you stand with it. That's
at least he's open and honest about it. I mean, he'll tell you himself that he's going to try to pass you.
Yeah.
He's open and honest about it, and that's the big thing. I mean, even just like, referencing to the real life thing, whole Kyle Busch thing about Joey Logano saying he's two-faced. But Logano even said, yeah, I mean, I might be real nice to you in person, but as soon as we get out onto the racetrack, it's a whole different story. And at least he's open and honest about it. The same thing with Al Kozlowski. He'll tell you, hey, I'm trying to pass you. I'm trying to win this race. I'm not trying to sit behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. But Derek Jacobs, though, just to keep saying the point, man, I'm going to keep saying it because he's going to save this race. He's going to go back and watch it. Derek Jacobs, our leader here tonight.
And he's led quite a few laps for sure. I think he's might not have led the most laps, but he's definitely close.
Oh, yeah, he's up there. He's led at least 10 laps now, I do believe. So he's having feeling pretty good. Greg Wachinski, though, trying to break that up. Kozlowski right behind him. And these guys they're marbling. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to stay right there, trying to, get something built. I don't think they're trying too hard. I think a lot of these guys are trying to just run, get some laps completed here. You see, I mean, not everybody's really all over each other like we saw earlier in the race. So I think a lot of these guys, the calm is kind of set in. But as we all know, the calm does not last long at Daytona. Usually it's the calm before the storm. And if this race is anything like Thursday's race, we could see a caution with 5 to go. We saw a green-white checkered, of course, on Thursday.
He's prophesizing cautions now, folks. I just want y'all to know that. He's trying to speak that junk into existence.
I mean, that's my job. Broadcasters cursing it up.
Well, I prophesize that we will have green flag pit stops.
That we won't?
That we will.
Oh, okay.
That is my prophecy.
We know Big Al loves those green flag pit stops. Derek Jacobs still in the lead. I do believe now going to be leading lap 16. Now, Al Kozlowski, I think a 3-wide condition might be starting to develop here as Frank Flores thought about going underneath Al.
Yeah, just got a little bit, and that's the thing. Drivers just, they get sucked up because the draft does just that. It sucks you along. So sometimes, you find yourself in a situation where, you got to do something. And that very rarely just that you want that to involve braking. And very rarely, it's easier to lift here than it is to brake.
Yeah, and a lot of people have two different techniques with that, or two different, kind of schools of thought. Some guys like to use the brake a little bit more here to keep the engine kind of RPMs up. instead of lifting. But I am the same.
Yeah,
I think I lift.
trail
I'm a
break.
lifter because it's kind of hard to break. I think it's a scary situation because a lot of guys like hit the brake in order for that guy behind him to even get up to the rear to push him, more efficiently.
You mean trail braking?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got you. Trail braking, definitely trail braking. You want to do, and trail braking, ladies and gentlemen, that's a process by which you keep the throttle down with the same constant pressure. You just actually apply more consistent pressure to the brake pedal.
A little bit of a blinking issue here for Derek Jacobs. Hope it does not subsist. But it looks like he is solid at the moment. But for the most part, single file. The only people that are on the bottom right now are Al Kozlowski and Frank Flores. So 888 right now. The 88 of Speedway Angels machine in the 8 of Frank Flores.
Yeah, and I think, I just know Keselowski, he doesn't like to be in a pack. He likes his car to be, it runs better when he's in cleaner air. So no doubt that's what he's going to be trying to do.
100%. And of course, I think Al Kozlowski got a pretty good finish on Thursday. I think he actually finished in 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. It wouldn't be. Don't count him out. Jose Acosta has dropped down to the bottom in front of Al Kozlowski. Oh, Al Kozlowski getting a little bit loose. Now that's the thing. You talked about Al Kozlowski liking the clean air. Well, as soon as Jose dropped down in front of him, Al got loose. So you could see that car's not handling well in dirty air.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the reason why he is trying to stay kind of out by himself, just so because his car does handle so poorly once it's in a pack.
Jose Acosta definitely has breathed some new life into that bottom line as they are starting to really move forward. They are right now side by side, I do believe, with Kenny Powell. Well, stop line not as organized as they probably should be. They're not as close to one another, kind of giving each other room. They're giving each other space. And I think that could be preparations for green flag pit stops. Which we are on lap 90. If green flag pit stops are going to happen, they're going to happen very, very soon. I think in the next 10 or so laps. And, usually when you do these green flag stops here at Daytona, a lot of times you're going on pit road side by side. But, I think in a perfect world, you'd want to be single file. But, there's so much to gain on pit road if you're able to outbrake some guys. So a lot of guys are going to be flying when they get onto, to that line. And that's going to be the scary part, Big Al. It's so easy to speed. I do believe the pit road speed is about 65, 70, if I'm not mistaken. And going from 190 to 70 mile an hour is quite difficult to do.
It's going to be getting down to pit road speed. That's going to be the key thing that these drivers are going to have to do. And we've seen that. It could be catastrophic in multiple ways. That's why it is going to be a big deal. And that's why we get so excited about it.
And here comes Greg Wyszynski. He's going to be making some big moves as the bottom line has really started to form. And he is, I do believe, going to get side by side with Kenny Powell and Darren Mullins here. And they still got a good bit of momentum here. I think they might be trying to challenge Derek Jacobs for the lead here. Wyszynski's definitely showed a lot of speed. Some big wiggles going on from Darren Mullins, having a hard time lining that bumper up with that Camaro in front of him. But it looks like Greg Wyszynski is going to take the lead. Is he going to be able to keep it going across the start-finish line? It's going to be door-to-door, neck and neck, and it looks like Wyszynski is going to lead this lap. And I think that might be his first lap lead. Actually, no, that is not his first lap lead, I do believe. That's actually his third lap lead on the night.
Keselowski way below the double yellow right there.
Yeah, definitely not something you want to do. And a lot of that could be attributed, we talk about it plenty of times, to the visibility that these cars have around these super speedways. It's so hard to see that yellow line. And, you know, Al might have had a problem seeing it and went a little bit too low. Very easy to do. I can definitely attest to that. I mean, that yellow line, hard to see. Even look through the cockpit here. There's a lot of times that yellow line is obstructed depending on how close the guys in front of you are running towards it. You see right now from this view, sometimes it is very much obstructed, hard to see, and you kind of have to just rely on that car in front of you. But Derek Jacobs back into the lead, so Greg Wychinski was only able to lead that one lap, and he has now been put back into 6th place at the moment, trying to collect that top line. So it's interesting to see that, Big Al. We saw the top line was the dominant line that Derek Jacobs was leading for a long time, but then they moved down when they saw Wychinski kind of come up. Now 95 laps into this thing. Pit stops are very much on the horizon. Any time now, we're going to see all these guys peel off. I'm sure some guys have even probably went over the radios and said, hey, we're pitting at this lap. Then again, we talk about that as well. A lot of these guys don't want to give those secrets away.
No, you don't, unless you're, on the same team. Other than that, yeah. And you would think it's a courtesy. No, it's not a courtesy. It's a strategy, and giving that information away, that's you don't want to do that. You want to try to hold your hand as close to yourself as you possibly can, because there's a gain in knowing when people are going to actually come down pit road.
Well, yeah, because of course, if you tell someone when you're going to pit, a lot of times they're going to try to go with you. And if you want to try to have a successful strategy, you don't want those guys to know about it for sure. But then again, it's almost a double-edged sword. It's a safety concern as well, though, considering a lot of these guys, whenever they do drop down pit road, it's a surprise to a lot of other drivers, and that can actually cause accidents in itself.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Oh, there we go. Green flag. Here goes Derek Jacobs. Darren Mullins. Oh, and Mullins loses it. Oh, he gets into the inside wall. Kenny Powell able to really get a lot of pace. Very efficient entry there for Kenny Powell. I'm wondering, hopefully he didn't get a speeding penalty. It looks like Jose Acosta, Al Kozlowski, Joey Preby, Greg Wychinski, Kendall LeVron, and Brian Johnson still out there. I think they might be coming down maybe this next time by.
Ooh.
You see Kenny Powell wins the race off of pit road. Yep, here comes Jose Acosta, Al Kozlowski, Preby, and Wychinski. And some steel guys still didn't pit there. You see Kendall LeVron, Chris Severa, and Brian Johnson still out there. A 3-car group right now. As they are going to be coming up here to Derek Jacobs, I do believe. So Jacobs going to be trying to see if he can't get in these guys' draft. Did not have the best pit stop. Oh, almost issues there. That was almost a bad deal. And he is going to lose the draft. Oh, but here comes Chris Severa and Brian Johnson and Kendall LeVron all coming down pit road. And that is going to complete our pit stops.
Yeah, those guys had to pit anyway, so he wouldn't have gained anything by catching that draft. That's why he was trying to get sucked as much side draft from those guys as he possibly could.
Yeah, unfortunately, he is quite a distance away. Looks like Al Kozlowski's coming off of pit road right now. He's going to be back in, I do believe, 10th place. Hopefully him and Derek Jacobs can kind of work together. And just shows you how important these pit stops are, Big Al. Derek Jacobs went from leading this race all the way back, in 9th.
What is that saying?
I don't know. What is that saying, Big Al?
You drive for show, but you pit for dough.
Interested to see how this is going to work out. You see Chris Severa He is right now scored as the leader. Kendall LeVron is going to be trying to get up to his back bumper. Brian Johnson, not as successful with his pit stop, is not going to be in these guys' draft. Jose Acosta, though, is flying up very quickly with Greg Wychinski in tow.
Not sure what's going on between Flores and Powell. They were definitely battling side by side there. Powell they actually kind of went below the double yellow, which is unique, I guess.
Yeah, this is that moment. You don't race with each other. I mean, when you're all split up like this is all about get in a line and see if you can't catch that next group. Because, I mean, that's going to be the important thing to do.
I mean, you have to be in a line, and that's the only way you're going to catch those guys.
Yeah, I mean, because as soon as you start racing one another, you're hurting the whole – it's like you got to see the big picture. The big picture is that you want to make it to the end of this race and be in contention to win this race. You're not going to be in a contention to win if you're racing for 6th place with 25 laps to go.
Flores definitely trying to get up onto the tail end of his pack.
But at the moment, Chris Severa is in the lead. Of course, he is one of the most winningest drivers in the Saturday Cup Series. He is got Kendall LeVron. Of course, Kendall LeVron, Stage 2 winner right there behind him. And there's about a 3-second gap between those two and Jose Acosta. Now, of course, Acosta has one more car than Chris Severa and Kendall LeVron do. Because Brian Johnson, of course, he did not have the best pit stop. Still was able to latch on to the back of the 42 and the 5. So that's going to help him out greatly. And you can see the speed that Jose is carrying right now, much faster than those top two. They are running down the top two right now, Big Al. As Kendall LeVron, actually, I do believe, just took the lead.
Kendall
Interesting.
LeVron being shown as your leader. Well, I think that's just to kind of, like, to keep the heat distribution even.
Yeah, I think that could very well be the case, but that's going to hurt their chances when it comes to trying to stave off that pack.
It does you no good if one guy's going to blow his car up, though, because he's getting overheated.
Well, once they made that move happen, though, Kendall, taking the lead here, they're starting to pull away from Jose and those guys.
And that's another part of that, too, is also it's pack placement, because you got to know where the car needs to be in the running order. Some of these cars don't do very well out front. Some of them are better pushers, Severa, with that bulldozer blade again, he has been pushing people out front all evening. So why not he get behind the Kendall LeVron and let them kind of continue their streak and see where it can go with it.
100%. You also see another pack back here, Derek Jacobs and Al Kozlowski, along with Joey Preview. Of course, he is 14 laps down, but these guys are going to be doing everything they can to try to get caught up. They are about 10 seconds back from the leader, so a long distance, or should I say 10 seconds back from Frank Flores in 8th place. Chris Severa has taken the lead back from Kendall, so these guys they're not working together very well right now. And they're getting ready to have a whole bunch of company coming up on the rear end.
Yeah, things just going to get a little messy for a little bit. We'll figure it out.
Chris Severa goes to the top as the 42 catches up to the back end of the 28. Looks like the 28 goes to the top as well. Definitely getting a little interesting, a little sporty out here, as you would say, Big Al.
Well, we're making big moves. Big things are happening.
A little bit of a touch on the apron there for Greg Wychinski as the 28 surges ahead with the help of the 62. Verging on now 21 laps to go. Now, I do think Darren Mullins and those others are catching this pack as well. So I think it's going to coalesce back into one pack. I think the only people that are going to be left hanging out to dry is going to be Derek Jacobs and Al Kozlowski. Just shows you how important these pit stops can be. As you see the double file group up here of 5 machines. And you got Darren Mullins, Kenny Powell, and Frank Flores all in a line. They're not really battling each other. And that's going to be the key factor here that could allow them to catch up if this top 5 does not line up. Definitely a little bit of a shaky move there from the 28. Looks like he's getting a little bit out of sorts there in the front. Chris Severa giving him some really good bumps, but you have to be able to handle those bumps, Big Al. Like I said, we were talking about how comfortable you are pushing. Well, it's also being comfortable taking those pushes, because a lot of times that changes, and you have to really mess with the wheel and your inputs and stuff like that, and be ready for those pushes.
Especially when you got a bulldozer behind you.
Yeah, bulldozer or Chris Severa. And these guys, now that they are in a line, have started pulling away from Darren Mullins and his group. So they need to keep this up at least until the last couple laps, because you want to at least guarantee that second pack's not going to catch you before you start racing each other.
Right, definitely. But they also got to make sure that they rotate the tasks amongst the members in that pack as well. You don't want one guy just stuck out front, because that's not fair to the 28 that he do all of the heavy lifting, because he's going to be fuel dependent. Now, if a caution does come out at the later stages of the race, well, at that point, he's got to contend with possibly a green-white checker. And that's
100%.
3 additional laps, which, that's going to be a huge disparity, because the longer the 28 stays out front, say if he stays out front this entire run, he'll have about a 2-lap difference between, say, the 42 of Jose Acosta, who is just kind of, the bird that's just floating around in the middle.
No, you're 100% correct. I mean, we haven't talked a whole lot about that, but the fuel economy when you are leading this race is a lot worse than the guys when you're in that draft. The air, or the I should say the pocket that Kendall LeBron is cutting through the air helps the guys behind him save that fuel. Almost even just like on the interstate when you get behind a big rig truck and you kind of use him for fuel economy.
I wouldn't recommend that.
I wouldn't recommend it, but it works.
They get buffeted pretty good back there. A lot of dirty air behind those big trucks.
Yeah, and that's a really good metaphor for what these guys are dealing with right here, right? I mean, because you do feel a lot of air when you're on the interstate behind one of those trucks.
Yeah, a lot of turbulent air behind those trucks.
Yeah, 100%. And and being at these kind of speeds, I mean, it's even worse, I'd say, in these cars. Tell you, if these guys had a wind sim, stick their hand out the window, I tell you, you'd feel the wind. I don't know, if you were in the next gen in real life and you try to stick your hand out of the window while you were going 200 mile an hour, I think it might snatch it off.
Well, it won't snatch it off, but you definitely. It depends on the angles, man. Angles are everything.
And look at this. The gap has changed drastically between this top 5 and the 6th place of Darren Mullins. They were about 3 seconds back. They are now over 7 seconds, almost 8 seconds now.
That's aerodynamics. That's what happens when the groups actually get in a line. And that's exactly what these guys are doing.
100%.
You see they're spreading it out now just a little bit now, so everybody's cars can actually breathe a little bit.
And you never know. I mean, with the speed that these top 5 are carrying, they might end up catching Derek Jacobs and Al Kozlowski, possibly putting them a lap down. Al Kozlowski, I do believe, just now took the spot from Jacobs, putting Jacobs back into 10th place. Definitely. I don't know if I'd want to be in the spot of Kendall LeBron right now, though, because we talk about it before. Where would you want to be coming down to these last laps? I mean, I think second, third would be where I kind of want to be. We've seen it already. The move happened here in the race tonight with Chris Johnson earlier, able to really just build a run and passed at the last second by only a couple hundredths. And that's all it takes. It ain't about how many laps you led, it's about which one you led. But now we have less than 15 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. The laps are ticking right on down. We're almost 300 miles into this race. These guys literally went from South Carolina to where I lived in St. Augustine, 300 miles.
Yeah, no small feat, and definitely you can believe the drivers are probably feeling every bit of that as their senses have been in a heightened, their senses have been heightened since the initial start of this race.
And you know what's crazy too, Big Al? Another, kind of talk about interstate traffic. Usually you run around 80 mile an hour on the interstate, 70 mile an hour, somewhere in there. Now if you want to be really fast, you can run faster than that. Of course, you might get a ticket. But when you're on, that, like I just kind of mentioned that reference about, I live in South Carolina. I used to live in St. Augustine. I used to drive back from from St. Augustine to South Carolina, and it took about 6 or 7 hours, Big Al, to do that. And these guys are crossing that kind of same distance in only a couple hours. Just shows you the difference in speed. These guys are flying. This we're verging on 12 to go. Definitely starting to get into that zone to where these guys are going to start fighting each other. The top 5 are well in front of the 6th place, 7th place, and 8th place. So don't really have to be concerned with them anymore. So I think the racing is going to start soon, but you don't want to do it too early. You make your move too early, they're going to make the move right back on you.
Well, yeah, if anything, Chris Rivera gains nothing, I think, by going any earlier than, coming off of turn 4. Because at that point, you leave Kendall with not an opportunity to really do anything to defend it.
Yeah, that's why you want to wait till the last possible second to make your move.
And Brian Johnson, I mean, look, he's a winner. So, look, this whole pack right here, these guys have got a lot of things going on. It's going to get sporty right here, but this is definitely going to be a race. I think we should even televise this. Maybe you and I should give our commentary on it.
Commentary on what?
On this race right here, we should talk about what's going on.
What have we been doing?
Oh, yeah, my bad.
I mean, definitely the picture hasn't changed very much. I mean, Kendall LeBron still your leader, verging on now 10 laps to go. We can do a quick rundown through the field, Big Al. Chris Rivera, of course, in 2nd place. Brian Johnson in 3rd. Jose Acosta 4th. Greg Wychinski in 5th. That is the top 5 pack here. Of course, a little over 13 seconds back is Darren Mullins in 6th. 7th place, Kenny Powell. 8th place, Frank Flores. And then even further back than that is Al Kozlowski in 9th. And 10th place, Derek Jacobs. Of course, Joey Preview, 14 laps down in 11th. Chris Johnson had some major issues earlier. He's in 12th. And Austin Derbyshire in his first race, he is in 13th, 108 laps down.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think that was a good showing.
Not at all. And I think I did get a message from him. He said something about he did have a internet issue. So he said he'll be back next week, though. Glad to see that at least.
Absolutely. We're doing a lot of things next week. Next week's going to be a big week.
100%. Auto Club. It's going to be definitely right in front of our faces. Going to be a fun one. I mean, Auto Club, of course, the sister track of Michigan. And a lot bumpier from a lot of what people say. Of course, that is a track that will be, I do believe, demolished and replaced with a short track, if I'm not mistaken.
Nine laps to go. Chris Rivera still doing what he needs to do, pushing Kendall LeBron.
100%. I do believe Virgin on now 8 laps to go. As Kendall LeBron leads yet another lap. Of course, he has led 41 tonight. I think that might be the most.
Yeah, not a bad night.
No, not at all. He's definitely done a fantastic job here so far, but big bump there from the 62. I tell you, that 62 is probably the best pusher out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a bully, isn't he?
He's bullying that back bumper, that's for sure. But these 5 have the chance to win this thing. Now, on Thursday, I know you're going to get on me about this, but we saw a caution with 5 to go. That caused a green-white checkered. Could we have the same thing? And that would change the absolute whole picture of this race, Big Al. It would change it from where 5 guys have a chance to win to where 10 drivers have a chance to win.
Yeah, it definitely would, Brian. But I don't think we want that. I think we want this one.
Speak for yourself, man. Speak for yourself. What is this we? I wouldn't mind seeing them all get double back up and going after it again.
No. I think we want this one to just kind of fade off.
You keep saying we. You're not speaking for me, Big Al. I'm speaking for me.
I'm not necessarily talking about you.
So are you like, oh yeah, that's right, you got multiple personalities. I forgot about that. Wheeze.
Not the only Big Al in the booth.
There's how many Big Al's are there?
Well, there's 52, but 7 have been named.
They all fighting for control of the spotlight, huh?
Yeah. Want to just all hit that hot mic. Everybody wants to push the talk.
Virgin on now 5 laps to go. Kendall LeBron still in the lead. Moves are going to be made here very soon. And, man, Chris Severus he's always so close to that rear end. Maybe you should buy at dinner first.
Jeez.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, be some sexual harassment out on the track here with that back bumper. He's got some other plans in mind.
5 laps to go here before this was officially in the books. Kendall LeBron doing everything that he needs to do in order to maintain his position. This top line, like you said, these guys have been playing nice thus far, staying all neatly tucked in behind each other, giving enough room so as to not make their cars run hot. And then every so often, Chris Rivera will come up and actually give a nice little big bump to the 28 of the Kendall LeBron. But as we actually come down to the end of this thing, I don't know, Brian. I think those gaps get a little bit wider. And if Kendall LeBron's got to see it, I think he's going to have to drag the brakes, because the one thing he doesn't want to happen is he doesn't want these guys to back off of him and actually, set themselves up to get a monster run. So he's going to want to dictate the speed of everybody behind him, and just by be cognizant of that, just by making sure that he stays relevant as long as he possibly can.
100%. I mean, I think you're right on the money there. These guys are going to try to back off, and they're going to try to build a run. And Kendall needs to find a way to stop that, to not let them do that. And it's going to be a difficult task for sure. I mean, there's only so much you can do. We'll have to wait and see how this all works out. But, man, Brian Johnson, I think he's in prime position right now. Chris Severa, of course, in prime position. But what a story it would be to see Brian Johnson win both Thursday and Saturday. We've seen it before, but it only happens every so often. It's definitely not a common occurrence, that's for sure.
Well, Don Avery just did it 2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago? I thought
3 weeks ago.
I think it might have been 3 weeks ago, yeah. Because I know Josh Schaffner did it after him.
Yeah, so it's not that uncommon, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, you would think it would be, right?
Well, yeah, but when you're saying, Daytona, because Daytona's a crapshoot. I mean, let's just be honest about it. This is, although it takes skill to get in the car, to fire it up, to run it around, it's just, it's plate racing. No
it takes decision making, but yeah, it's like 50% decision making and 50% luck.
Yeah, because you could easily get taken out. You haven't turned a steel lap at Daytona this year?
Well, that's crazy to see, man. I mean, I've been turning a lot of laps at Daytona this week.
Yeah, you're running for me.
Yep, 2 laps to go. Next time by, the white flag will be flying out in the air. Can Kendall LeBron hold off these guys?
And that's going to change everything, because once these guys come around this right here, then at that point, all bets are off. The next flag will end the race, which means, it's go time, baby.
It definitely is. Can even see it starting to form now. Brian Johnson backing off a little bit. See if he can't build a run. Will
Chris
Jose go with him? Here they go. They're starting to move now.
And look at Chris. See how Chris is kind of lining up to the outside. He's kind of setting that drag brake right there because that's going to slow Kendall LeBron down a lot as well.
I think that what Chris is doing right there when he came out a little bit, I think he was kind of like sending a message to Brian Johnson, hey, let's go. Like hand out of the window in a lot of ways, go a little high to test the water to see if anybody's going to go with you. White flag is out.
I like what I'm saying.
Well, I think it could be a bit of both. But here we go, entering 3 and 4. This is when it's going to be for all the marbles.
Could I just be right?
You're always right, Big Al.
I'm just messing. Woo!
Here we go.
Coming around the outside. Jose Acosta coming around the outside. Brian Johnson's bumping. Who got it?
Chris Severa wins the race.
What? Chris Severa, you win.
Look at that, 100th, I do believe. Very close finish there. Let's take a look back at that one. Take a look back as they come through 3 and 4. See Chris Severa makes his move. Drives up to the top here. Oh, almost. That could have went poorly for sure. But it looks like they drag race and, contact even across the line. But Severa is still able to get it done. Kendall LeBron, of course, finishes in second place. Brian Johnson able to grab third. Jose Acosta fourth. Greg Wychinski fifth. Darren Mullins is in sixth. Kenny Powell, I should say, in seventh. Derek Jacobs eighth. Al Kozlowski ninth. Frank Flores 10th.
Yep, that's going to put Joey Preby in 11th, Chris D. Johnson 12th, and Austin Derbyshire in 13th. And that's going to round out everybody with the race complete, our winner crowned. Let's take a step away, get a word from our sponsors, and then we'll come back with our post-race show.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms. From camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tough, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
You gotta get down to Hooters, have a drink, catch the game, get yourself some awesome wings. It's the place to do your thing. You gotta get down to Hooters. Here she comes, a girl next door, hanging with good friends and more. Come on, what you waiting for? You gotta get down to Hooters. So get on up and get on down to Hooters.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. What a race we had there. Very close finish. Chris Severa able to get it done at the end of that thing. But first, we're going to talk to our third place finisher, Brian Johnson. You won on Thursday. You finished third on Saturday. How you feeling, man? Looks like you had a good handling car.
Yeah, man, it was fun.
Dang, short and sweet, man. It was fun. What was going through your mind there on that last lap? Did you think something maybe could have went a little bit better for you? I mean, you saw the top two racing side by side. What could you have done differently?
Well, to be honest with you, I was content with just pushing. I was waiting for somebody to make a move there with 2 to go, and everybody stayed in line. And coming to the checkered, Severa finally made his move to the outside, and I tried to get Kendall the win. I gave him a shot there across the line, made it close, but yeah, that's all. That's all I could do.
Yeah, that was definitely a very close finish there between those two. Unfortunately, I know Chris Johnson had some issues. Definitely unfortunate to see that. Bad luck for him, but you were able to still once again kind of carry the torch. Can you relay any information maybe you heard from him about what happened with his wreck?
Yeah, I think he got turned bump drafting. I'm not too sure. I have to go back and look at the replay, but over Discord, it sounded like he just got turned, got hooked while they were bump drafting.
Well, definitely some bad luck out there on the racetrack for him, but some good luck for you. I mean, you both Thursday and Saturday, you're able to kind of step off into the Super Cup season with some good points. I mean, is that important to you? The stages, was that important to you as well, getting those points?
Oh, absolutely. It's always good to get those stage points and come out first race of the year and put up a good finish, get some momentum going for the remainder of the year.
100%. Well, speaking of the future, we got Auto Club going to be coming up next week. How are you feeling about that? The sister track of Michigan, going to be probably one of the last times we even probably see that track.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Did a little bit of testing yesterday, working on a setup. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be a lot of pack racing. I think there's going to be pack racing at the beginning, and it's going to single file out pretty quickly. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Still working on the car, working on the setup, tweaking on it. So we'll see what we can bring next week.
100%. All going to be about tire wear there for sure. Very bumpy racetrack at that 2 mile place. Very different than Daytona, even though it's not much shorter than Daytona. But congratulations on the third place, man. Who can we give a shout out to after this performance?
Yeah, shout out to Southern Spiral Pipe. Shout out to Butt Kicker, TCL, Kenny Powell for putting this on, and you guys up in the booth.
All right. Well, Brian, we appreciate your time. And once again, we'll see you next week. And good luck to you for the remainder of the season.
Thanks, guys.
All righty. That was Brian Johnson. Next up, Big Al gets to talk to Kendall LeVron for the second time tonight, I do believe.
Kendall LeVron, Big Al. You got me?
Yes, sir. I got you, bud.
Well, Ben, I'm telling you, you started this thing in 8th. You got yourself a stage win. You won stage 2. You led 48 laps. You finished overall in P2. I mean, what else do you think you could have? I mean, what else would you have needed to feel better other than a victory? What else? I mean, you did about everything, didn't you?
Yeah, not really, because I just thought of it whenever I just went go smoke a cigarette, stretch my legs after my feet and my knee was going numb a little bit after 175 laps. It just dawned on me. It's like he was on my outside and I was still ahead. I could have drifted up a little bit to where our cars stuck together and I would have picked up the win, but I'm not that type of driver to do anything that stupid. But I don't mind beating and banging and rubbing because that's part of stock car racing. But honestly, I have more respect for Chris. I'm not going to do that to him. I'd rather do it cleanly.
Yeah, and if you did get beat, at least you got beat by a champion, right?
Yes, sir. Only way to beat the best, you got to beat the best. But today, he got the win. I got second place, but I'm still happy with the results that happened tonight. It was actually pretty good. Like I said, the setup Kenny Coppola actually built was phenomenal. Whenever you want it to go, it can go. Wherever you want to put it, it'll do exactly what you want it to do.
So I think you're going to be giving a shout out to Kenny Coppola here, needless to say. But man, it's got to feel good for you to turn your luck around because you've had some bad breaks been taken out in some pretty good races where you've had some pretty fast cars. Tonight, of all tracks where you would expect to see that kind of melee ensue, it didn't. And you actually got yourself a pretty solid finish and a very solid points day to boot.
Yeah, I kind of went with the same mentality when I did the NIS Daytona 500 Wednesday. Is wherever I qualify because the qualifying set is well, it's not the set. The set is fast. It's just I just don't know how am I gonna get faster than what I just did. I did everything I could for qualifying. It is what it is. So whenever it comes to race time, I know how to manipulate the air, try to get to the front, who I can draft with. Uh, Through the race, I try to figure out who's got a good car, who could keep their car straight when I'm pushing them. Um, is part of the nature of the beast of this track. It's just the other times whenever I kind of got in a little incident or whatever is due to I had to go to work that day, and when work calls, nothing I can do about it, man.
Oh yeah, totally understand that, boss. But hey, once again, congratulations. Next week we head to Auto Club. You got any kind of predictions? Is that even one of your favorite tracks? Are you indifferent? I mean, what are you feeling here going into Auto Club?
Um, Auto Club, I do like it, but I never actually tried it with this new tire model, so I have no idea what to anticipate. But Sundays, Kenny Coppola is gonna put practice up for Team Watson Racing, and we're gonna go practice Sunday night and see what we can figure out for the week, and see if we got get a badass race car out there and pick up a win there.
Hopefully it'll be fast like it usually is, man. But hey, before we let you go here, who you shouting out for your second place finish?
I'm gonna shout out to Team Watson Racing Setups. They put out the phenomenal setup, like I said before, multiple times this week for Daytona. Awesome. NRN, Martin Sports, and Warrior Raps. Shout out to them and family and friends that are watching. And Kenny Coppola. I'm sorry, Kenny Powell. Too many Kennys, I know. Thanks for Kenny and G&G for putting up the ISCA on Saturdays. I hope we can get some more people in here. We really do need more people, but it is what it is. And shout out to you and Brian for putting up the broadcast for us, man. I really do appreciate all of that.
Well, hey, bud, we appreciate you too. And as I always say, don't party too hard celebrating your second place finish. And we'll see you next week.
Nah, I don't crack a beer until I get the win, though.
Okay, there you go.
Alrighty, that was Kendall LeBron, our second place finisher. Definitely a valiant performance there from him. Next up is going to be our winner, Chris Severa, with a last lap pass. Chris, how you feeling, man? Looks like that car was very quick. You were one of the best pushers out there all night.
Yeah, that was a great race overall. Real exciting, I felt, from start to finish. Just a whole great group of guys able to do all that all night and really minimize the incidents that happened. But yeah, it's I didn't really think we were going to have a shot at the end. I was telling Kendall I was going to push him all the way, but it didn't look like anyone else made a move. So I was like, all right, well, I'll push you out here all this last corner, and that gave me an opportunity without, having a chance of anyone else swooping in on us. So took it when it came. It wasn't the plan, but we'll take it though. It's great.
100%, definitely, and starting off the Super Cup Series on the right foot. I mean, like we talked about before, you're a previous series champion. Was that the whole main goal, to kind of step off on the right foot for the Super Cup Series? I mean, the momentum that leads into these following races. I mean, how important is that to you? How important was this race to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to start off strong. Hopefully, we'll see if we can be locked in all the way to the playoffs now. And but I don't really know how much that works out. But yeah, we'll just be taking it 1 week at a time, just like we always do. And yeah, I think we got Auto Club next, so that's an interesting track with these cars. Kind of like a Michigan, but a lot different in the same way at the same time. But yeah, looking forward to them.
Yeah, very bumpy racetrack for sure. Well, more about this race here. You seem like you were one of the best pushers out there. Did you do a lot of practice with that, or is that just something that you're used to here at Daytona?
Yeah, definitely did a lot. Did a couple of opens. I ran the fix. The fix set was just like I don't know if it was something with the front end. I'm guessing the casters were a lot different in the fixed setup, so the front end felt like it turned a lot more. So it was definitely a bit more sensitive in the fixed. So once I was able to get that down, coming back over here, this was like riding on rails, and you can really just hit somebody and don't have to really think about it too much. Over there, you really have to be patient and make sure everything's lined up. So, but yeah, just monitoring the temps, we were able to get it cool. These cars cool off a little bit differently than what they used to. So we were able to figure that out during the week as well. And you can hit a lot more. Once we, figured out the cardinal sin was not push the pusher, but once we figured out that you can do that, these cars are flying.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that, to be that way for sure. Now, how big of an effect did dirty air have? We saw a lot of guys kind of moving back and forth as a result. Did you have to deal with a lot of that?
No, it can get really turbulent if you're stuck in the middle. Like, you can really get pulled one way or the other very quickly if you're not paying attention. But no, other than that, it's it just felt like the car just sucked up really good. And we were just able to make moves when we wanted to make them. It was yeah, it was just very much like I asked the car to do something, and it was just very responsive in what I wanted it to do. And yeah, that's all you can ask for at a place like this, because everything else is just really a roll of the dice. So you can control the things that you can control. It's could be one step closer. But yeah, it was just a great car this week, and just hats off to everyone at G&G and those guys there for putting in all the work that they did this week. But yeah, we'll see what we can do going forward.
100%. I'll tell you what, man. I mean, they're going to have to ask Kendall, where on your car did he touch you? Because you were hitting that back end fairly hard for sure, and you were the one that was able to do it the best. Congratulations on the win. I think you're the winningest driver here in the Saturday series, and I'm sure you're going to be able to try to hopefully keep that momentum going. Who can we give a shout out to? I know you shouted out a couple. You can give them another shout out if you'd like.
Yeah, again, everybody at Gas and Go, 3F Racing, the ISCA as always for putting on a great league. I'm fortunate that it is both nights. I'm not able to make the Thursday, so we're looking for people to join on Saturdays, man. I know there's a lot of things going on, but yeah, shout out to all you guys, and you guys as always for putting on the broadcast week after week. Really appreciate you.
All right. Well, thank you for putting on such a good show. Y'all make it easy for us, Chris, and congratulations. And hopefully we'll see you next week at Auto Club. Get to talk to you again.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you there.
All righty. That was Chris Severa, our winner here tonight for the Hooters 313. And that is over 300 miles completed here, Big Al. I think I might be tired of Daytona. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it's about time for Daytona to just set on off into the sunset. But I want to just give a compliment to all of these guys. I mean, I think pretty much everybody just about got a chance to lead a lap out here tonight. So that's a testament to the league. Way to kick off the Super Cup Series, Brian. And hey, man, let's keep it going.
100%. Now, of course, next week we will be at, I do believe, Auto Club on Thursday. 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the broadcast will kick off. Of course, we will have the actual race itself kick off a little bit after 9:30. Same thing on Saturday, and we have a long road ahead of us with this Super Cup season. We're going to see a lot of ebbs and flows, comers and goers. Whoever's leading the points right now may not be leading the points later. It's going to be a whole lot of action, and definitely can't wait to call it with you, Big Al. Definitely big shout out to Kenny Pound for putting all this on, and then can't wait to see all the new faces we get here on this Saturday series. And shout out to Austin Derbyshire. I know he made his first start here tonight as well. Unfortunately, did not go the way he probably envisioned it. Hopefully, we'll see him next week, though. But thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time.